Welcome to another episode of Your Extraordinary Growth. I'm your host, Michael Buzinski, and today I'm going to be talking with JD Robinson, a classic menswear designer based in Atlanta, Georgia. He has a motto he lives by that says, quote, "Before they hear you, they must first see you. Make sure what they are looking at is going to be worth listening to," end quote. Welcome to the show, JD.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So tell me, how long have you been in business?
So I've been in business for the past 12 years. I just recently opened up this location, Mr. Classic's Haberdashery, 2 years ago. So this is a
Awesome.
brand new location. I work more so remote, so visiting my clients. But in Atlanta, everyone wants to be able to come somewhere so they can take pictures and what have you. So I decided to actually open up an establishment. It's been going great so far.
Oh, Atlanta. It's one of the cities in one of the few states I've not been to. One of the four states I've not been to yet.
Yeah,
So
you gotta,
we're
you
actually,
gotta.
my wife and I are going to go. Say again?
So you definitely got to come check us out. It's a good time.
Yes. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm loving the vest. That's one of the pieces I'm trying to find, like the casual vest. You have the shiny vest, which I love, but for me, I'm more of a, I don't know, relaxed type of. It's not dapper. It's another word. I haven't figured it out yet. So I think I'm gonna have to actually come to you and say, hey, listen, I want to get something going here for my look here. But
Absolutely.
with that said, what originally got you into men's fashion? What made you passionate about it?
So I would say what initially got me into men's fashion was seeing my grandfather and my father, especially my father. He was a pastor, and I grew up in the church, and it really resonated with me how he made sure you always saw him in a suit. I can recall one specific occasion, someone came to the house to visit and just to talk to him. And he was upstairs in his room, just relaxing, watching TV. And I told him, and he said, "Okay, give me 5 minutes." He went into his closet, put on a full three-piece suit, cologne, everything, just to come downstairs to meet the person at the door, to have like a 2-minute conversation, and then go back upstairs to change. And it really stood out to me because he paid attention to those details in his appearance and how someone viewed him. So that really did a huge number on me when it came to this industry.
Awesome. And so now, did you go to school right after high school with this, or was this something that you went out and experienced the world and it drew you back in? How did the business come about?
So I went to school for multiple different areas of focus of study. First law and then music, and I got into fashion, classic menswear through the music industry. I went to Berklee College of Music, and I played alongside a lot of big name artists. And we ran into an issue because they would come to me and say, you can't really dress better than the main act. So we need you to either start dressing down or help them to dress better. So I became a celebrity stylist then. So a lot of the artists that I worked with, I also helped them with their wardrobe. And it kind of
Mm.
developed from there. And I started meeting some individuals. My mentor, he introduced me to some individuals in the political arena, the government and what have you, and just in finance. So I started to deal with a lot more professional individuals. So the suiting kind of took forth from there, and I just took it off from there. I worked with a lot of designers, and I found that what I wanted to portray, they weren't really executing. So at that
Mm.
point, I had my own connections in Italy and in London for manufacturing, and I decided, to get the quality and the service that I really want to be able to provide to people, I might as well just do it myself. And that's kind of what
Mm.
catapulted to into my own brand.
I love it. I love it. It's funny. I was in the Air Force and for 10 years, and one of the countries
Mhm.
that we were stationed in was Turkey. And you could
Yeah.
go down to the suitor in Turkey and they had magazines, all the men's fashion magazines out, and they had all of the different cloths you could, silk and anything and everything you wanted to make a suit out of, right? And they would make a suit for $100 out of the
Yeah.
nicest materials, right? And it's all custom
Yeah.
fit to you, made for you, the whole 9 yards, and at the time I was like, well, I'm in the military, I don't need a suit. And then I get out of the military and I'm trying to wear suits I wore before 10 years before, which like double-breasted had gone out of style, and that's what I was wearing before I
Yeah.
went in, that type of thing. So it's funny because I started a recording studio, but both of us have a little bit of a similar background here. I was a professional jazz trombonist at the age of 13.
Oh, wow.
Literally our junior high jazz band went pro, and went on a little tour down the coast of California, recorded an album, had our own swag. I mean, you name it, we did it, right? It was pretty cool. So fast forward, 20 years, I started a recording studio, and I was actually wearing suits to record. A third of my clients were rappers. And so they're all
Nice.
thug lifed out in the whole 9 yards. And
Yeah.
this is now, mind you, this is in Anchorage, Alaska. So that was a little different
Oh,
than
wow.
Atlanta.
Yeah,
but
very much so.
but it's funny because I think that people look at fashion and they think, you never want to be, you want to be the best dressed person in the room in business. I totally agree with that. But now I live in the Midwest where nobody dresses up. So I've had to find a way to stay the best dressed, but not overdressed.
Yeah, of
How do
course.
you do that and maintain a outward persona that doesn't confuse your audience?
I mean, you always have to say dress for the occasion.
Okay.
So you don't want to be the guy at the pool party wearing a three-piece suit. It doesn't. Now you look like the douchebag. It's like you don't want to be that guy. So definitely starting off, it's just for the occasion, and understanding the rules of the occasion. So the pool party, it's going to be something shorts, slippers or loafers, and a t-shirt or what have you. Then you can always take it up from there to say, I want to apply those rules, but let me make it a little bit more stylish. Instead of wearing a t-shirt, I'm going to wear a button-up short sleeve shirt, similar to what you got on right now.
Or a polo, yes.
Something
I love my polos because they're always dressed up regardless.
polo shirt, yeah. So stuff like that, and instead of just like shorts, like basketball shorts or anything, you can wear some nice like polo shorts. You can wear some nice slippers or boater shoes. So you can take it up to another level to where you're not kind of slumming it just at the beach, but you're like, oh man, this guy looks like he knows what he's doing, and he's still dressed for the occasion. It's still fitting for this setting, but he just took it up a little bit further.
There you
So
go. I love it. I
yeah,
love it. So when you were working with, you said you had a lot of celebrities and some politicians, stuff like that. Now, do you work with the everyday business owner, or maybe
yeah,
what we would call the E-level celebrities? This guy's down here in the bottom.
absolutely, absolutely. I work with blue collar all the way up. So
Oh, okay. I want to
yeah,
hear about this. How do you help blue collar folks, men? You do primarily men, right?
yes, primarily
Okay.
men, but also women. But yeah,
Okay.
primarily.
So we'll stick with the men's side. How is it? How do you help blue collar men in with their fashion in general?
So it will be more so of taking what you're wearing, if it's a uniform,
Hmm.
and sprucing it up in a bit, making sure that it's fitting you properly. That's the biggest thing. Because
Oh, yes.
you can wear a uniform, but it's not fitting you properly. The pants are way too long.
Hmm.
The waist of the trousers is way too big. The shirt might be too tight or too big. So we focus on the fit then. So
Mm.
making sure that everything fits you perfectly. So when someone sees you, even if it's down here we have the martyr bus drivers. So even if it's a
Hmm.
bus driver and he knows he has to wear a uniform, they will bring the uniforms to me, and I'll make sure that it's tailored very well to where they're not going to look like every other bus driver, but it's going to be something about them where people will say, yeah, he's still very well put together. His
Nice.
uniform is always crisp. It's always fitted perfectly.
I love that. I mean, it's funny because, you look, I was in the Air Force. And so,
Mhm.
you know, when you talk about a good fit, there's only
Yeah.
you have to literally you get your uniform and then you go get it tailored if you care about how it looks. And now I'm 5'6". I'm
Hmm.
also a stocky man. I
Yeah.
have broad shoulders, big arms, big bottom, as my wife would say, thick thighs, a whole 9 yards. Like they do
Yeah.
not make clothes for men
No,
like me. Nothing comes off the rack and put on. Maybe some shorts every once in a while, right?
yeah.
But that's about it. And so like I always have to go to the tailors, and then you can't go to the base tailors because they're just going to do the straight legs and the whole ears. They don't know what tapered means, right? So it's amazing. I feel like you could probably go to the law enforcement because I see the same problem as I'm as a civilian now, where it's like you have these very good looking law enforcement people wearing really bad fitting pants.
Yeah.
Like it's
Absolutely.
bad, like almost bell bottomy. And it's like
Oh,
that is not flattering. But I want to go back. I say all that in just, but I want to go back to the uniform being fit properly and the importance I feel that you're bringing to the, when people say don't judge your book by your cover in business, we are all judged by our cover. That's why we have brands. That's why we have personas. That's all of this. These things are based on or predicated upon our existing need to judge. We judge people within milliseconds of seeing them. And we
absolutely.
have bias to different looks, regardless of who it is and what it is. And in your setting, I think that, yeah, if you're sitting there and you're a line worker and you're the best, and you have the best fitted uniform, you're going to look more put together, which makes you seem more competent. Just
Absolutely.
that immediate bias, like, oh, you're put together. You must know what you're doing, right?
Exactly.
Versus the slob that walks in, and it's all baggy and maybe they don't even press it, or any of that stuff. So I see the need for this. And I think that it's so important for entrepreneurs to understand how people see you. Just yesterday, I was in with I had a colleague who was introducing me to a new client. I showed up in polo, tucked in, belt, shorts. It's hot here, and I'm a marketer. We do not need to be in a three-piece suit at all times, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, the woman was in a sundress, so it was very informal. But he showed up in khakis and a button-down long sleeve shirt. I'm like, I'm sorry, Eric, that's not happening with me.
Yeah.
But you can still be relaxed, and I've got some really nice leather deck shoes that put it all together.
Yeah.
But I think that people overlook the importance of that first impression, you know?
Yes.
And I think that, and even in what we're wearing on screen, a lot of times, my wife always bugs me. She's like, why do you dress up like you're going to work, even though you have a home office now? I'm like, because it creates the personification for myself as well. My brain
Yeah.
now knows I'm ready to do business. And if
Absolutely.
I get on a screen, it's time to go, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So when it comes to investing in that, do you have you ever done any studies or seen any studies of like the ROI of dealing or paying attention to one's persona and how they're
Oh,
presented?
absolutely. Absolutely. I know it firsthand as far as just the influence it has on other people, getting into the rooms, sitting down at the tables, of presenting yourself properly, what that actually does. It was a funny story I always bring up to clients when they ask me about what is the the reason for wanting to dress up all the time. And I tell them, I don't know if you're familiar with Ted Turner. He has
Yes.
his foundation and everything. So he had a huge event in Buckhead, and he closed down pretty much the whole Buckhead. It was ridiculous. There were black SUVs all over the place, and it was a regular Thursday night for me because I didn't know what was going on. So I'm going to my usual places that I'll go to network and have a drink or what have you. And I walked into the first hotel. It was at the Intercontinental, and the security were standing at the front. They opened the door and they said, "Oh, sir, the event's going to be down to the right." And I said, "Okay, sure." Went there. They were like, "Yeah, the food, everything's complimentary." So I was like, "Okay, great." By the end of the night, we ended up at the W Hotel on the rooftop, and I'm talking to Ted Turner's daughter and another member in their foundation, And they're asking me, so what department do you work in? I said, I don't work with any department. They're like, hold on, so what are you doing here? I was like, I'm just coming to this spot. This is my spot. This is where I go every Thursday. And she was saying, this is a private event. It's $2,000 a seat. How did you get in there? And I told her, I was like,
the guy at the door told me to come in.
He just told me where to go. And that proved that when you look a certain way, when you carry yourself a certain way, doors will literally open up to you. People expect you to be here. And that's what it was. He looked and said, you look like you're supposed to be here. And I'm not going to be the one to mess up and say, oh, what's your name? You're not on the guest list, and find out later on that you were one of the most important people. And then I get fired. I'd rather just say, yeah, sir, you can go through. So I ended up having a great night with Ted Turner and his whole foundation, just based off of a well-cut 3-piece suit.
Love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, that is an awesome, like, just it. You weren't even trying to act like you're supposed to be there. You're just going where you
No,
normally go,
I was
right?
going out.
And so, but I've
Hey,
heard stories where people, they dress the part knowing they're not supposed to be there, but they act like they're supposed to be there, and people just
yeah,
assume, you dress the part, you act the part, you must be the part. Let's go. Acts like a duck, quacks like a duck, must be a duck.
absolutely, 100%.
So where do you see your business going from here? Where do you see it in 3 to 5 years?
So I would say the difficulty in that question, because I've been asked that question multiple times, and it is recreating me. So people travel very far to come to my haberdashery here for the experience and the exclusivity of my consultations, because it's not very typical. You're not just coming in and
Mhm,
picking fabric and I'm making a suit and you're going. There's a whole
mhm,
entire getting to know you process. I have to really dig into understanding your personality. My wife, she's a professional chef. Sometimes she prepares dishes for us to eat while we're in the consultation. We might smoke a cigar, drink some scotch. So it's a long getting to know you process. And
mhm,
the fact that I put so much care and effort into it, my clients, they appreciate that, because they don't
mm,
just see me as, or they don't see me at all as a salesperson. I'm not selling them a suit.
or it's just a suitor. Mhm,
Exactly, or just a suitor. I'm providing them with an education. I'm providing them with the overall experience. So recreating that is quite difficult, because I have to find somebody that has that same type of passion and will go that extra mile to provide that service.
mm,
So currently, I'm looking to do more trunk shows. So taking my business mobile and visiting different
mm,
cities, different countries, and building up the client base that way, to where they can have that same experience with me, but at their own
mhm.
front door. So that's really where
Gotcha.
I see it going, until I'm able to find a young a young student that I can take under my tutelage and kind of rear into recreating this concept.
The protege even. You
Oh
there's
yeah.
a guy there was a kid on Shark Tank that made bow ties. What was that kid's name? Do you
Mm,
know who I'm talking
I know
about?
what you're talking about. I forgot it. I don't recall his name,
I
but
think he's ready. I think he's ready for you to reach out to him and say, "Let's take the bow tie to the next level."
yeah.
I think you guys would get along a lot.
I gotta go look him up. I'll find him.
Yeah, you should.
I'll make sure to give
I
you
can't
the
remember what
all.
shark signed on. I can't remember which shark signed. It was years ago, but they did a follow up on it. I don't know if you watch Shark Tank much, but over the years, I keep an eye on it, and they did a follow up with it, and he was like maybe 10 years old the first time he got signed with them, and then they showed him like 5 years later, and he's
Yeah.
starting to become a man. This was just a couple years ago, so he's got to be at least 18 by now. And
Yeah.
yeah, they're making it happen. But I think that if he could take it to the next level, not just make ties, but put some the neck, just take it, right, run with it. That'd be a good road show. So if you were to talk to your prior self 10 years ago, knowing what you know today, what would you tell that self?
Mm, what would I tell myself? I lean on the words of um, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay.
He had a message he was saying to young people where he would say, "Keep your head down till you're 30." And it resonated with me a lot because there were a lot of opportunities that presented themselves that I did take just because of the exposure and because of the experience or what have you, where I feel that I would have been further, or I would have gotten more, I guess, for lack of a better word, more possibilities thrown at me had I just focused 100% on just me and doing what I need to do to propel my business. Early on, I was very much of a people pleaser. I would say that. So if anyone needed anything from me, I would put my stuff to the side and go help and focus on their business or what have you. I would definitely say, tell myself, hey, keep your head down until you're 30. Focus on yourself, focus on your business, and then pick your head up to see who you can help or care about after that. But yeah, definitely
That's
be
good
more
advice.
selfish.
Yes, and it's okay. It's okay to be selfish in the right way, right? And
Right way.
especially in business. I think that as we are growing our businesses, we want everything. We take all the business, right? And we find out that being, trying to be everything to everyone ends up making us known to everyone, because nobody
Exactly.
knows who you actually are, what you actually stand for, what you
Exactly.
represent, because you're willing to just bend to the whim of anybody's dollar thrown in your face. So I appreciate you sharing that with the audience. I think that it's good and wise advice that anybody is listening to the show should hear. And if you've enjoyed this, I want to first thank you for taking the time to share your story. And I'm gonna check out JD, because I my wife says that I'm a pretty good with fashion, but I'm like, yeah, but I feel like I don't know what I don't know, and I need to put this together, right? Because I'm getting on more stages in this point of my career, and I need to look like I belong there on that stage when I'm there. So yeah, it's really easy to put on a shirt and not see anything past the waist, right?
I'm in
Yeah,
boxers.
yeah, right, exactly. I'm in like deck slippers and pair of shorts under this, and nobody would know if I didn't say anything, right? So yes, it's
Exactly.
time. And the COVID, I think, made us all a little lax when it comes to that too. So I really appreciate your time today. We'll make sure that we have links to your dashery. Did you call it Badashery? Haberdashery. Okay, we'll make sure that we have links to your website, anything, and your social media. We'll have when we post this up on our podcast, YouTube podcast channel. And if you enjoyed this, listeners, please make sure that you subscribe so you never miss another episode, and rate us so that other people can find this wonderful show, Your Extraordinary Growth. And until next time, stay extraordinary.